I took a bite out of it.
All right, I'd like to call the Building and Grounds Committee meeting to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're here this evening just for updates of the Gateway Middle School and our field situation, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Rossi.
Thank you this morning. First on the agenda is the Gateway Middle School project updates. I'm going to turn it over to Bob to kind of facilitate the meeting for us.
Yes, actually we have Doug Zanger, foreman, Doug is our construction foreman, and Hank Chosick is our architect. So whichever one of you guys, I guess Doug, maybe would be best to start off with the status of the building and where everything is as far as our proposed completion dates.
As one measure of completion, including monies that haven't been billed, our roofer is behind in his billing, which is nothing you would normally see. Billing-wise, we're about 85% complete, and we've issued an extension of time because we were supposed to have been done this month contractually, but we had certain impacts early in the project, so we're now forecast to have a extension of time change order out to the contractors for an October 16 substantial completion, but that is with certain caveats that are in the change order. The cafeteria, the auxiliary gym would be finishing up a week later. Tech Ed would be finishing up at the end of October. The auditorium and auditorium on the 10th of November, administration on the 17th of November. So, in a nutshell, that's where we're at. Building is almost completely closed in. We've had some waiting on getting the curtain walls for the cafeteria and admin done. Those are the two areas that are holding up the close up of the building, but the cafeteria is in progress, and we'll be getting the materials for the administration curtain wall in a week or so. We had a tour today with the food service director, so he could get oriented to his new kitchen and think about how things are going to be running in there. And in real short, that is the report. If there's any questions.
When-
I think we have a couple questions. Can you just explain the substantial completion when you say October 16th? What does that mean for students?
The contractual definition is it's available for the use intended. And as a caveat to that, that means we have to have a certificate of occupancy, or at least a temporary certificate of occupancy.
Which means all the life safety items have to be completed. Your fire alarms, your emergency lighting, exit signs, all that kind of thing.
So it simply becomes that those areas that I named would not be complete and ready for use, but the rest of the building would be.
But the cafeteria was one of them.
That would be, yeah, the cafeteria was forecast October 23rd. And the intent of the change order was to say that this school would be available for students on the 30th of October. Now, substantial completion means, well, typically what happens after substantial completion is there's a punch list inspection, and then whatever punch list work is identified, things that need to be fixed. Anywhere from like a nick in the wall that has to be touched up, loose floor tile, door hardware that's not working correctly, the lock doesn't work right, things like that. So there would be work going on at some point, whether it's during the school day or afterwards, to take care of those things. But we would also be working in the other areas, getting them finished.
So generally, substantial completion means the building's occupiable, and the other key that substantial completion kicks off is that's the start of your warranties.
When do we see complete completion?
Mid-November?
With the audit administration being November 17th, at that point, we should have all the other punch list work done, and administration would be turned over. So we're looking whether, it depends on the level of punch list. If the contractors are really good, and I'm also going through, I'm doing it now, saying, you need to be working on this, you need to be working on this. At that point, I'll be saying, these things still need to be tweaked. So,
In reality, maybe Thanksgiving.
I was thinking that being it's gonna be in the middle of the year like that, it would be good for us to maybe wait until January after the holiday break. And even give the kids a chance to do orientation over there instead of just shipping them over to without them having a chance to see where the classrooms will be, where the cafeteria and everything is. Just I'm throwing that out there, so we don't fire the kids over there and have that, give them a chance, maybe all the break or something.
Doug, that substantial completion is really on the work of the contractors.
Yes.
It does not have really anything to do with what we have to do to make it ready, incomplete, which Micah, myself, Martin, Bonnie, we all met with Dennis the other day, and we're building that portion of it, what we all need to do to make that building fully ready for use. I mean, we have numerous things, from custodial supplies to chemical dispensers to stocking the building. We all have lots of things. Some of it can be done while they're still finished. We have movers, things like that to schedule, but some of it can't be done until we say, oh, school's finished here. We need to finish feeding them today, clean that food service equipment, get it loaded, get it over there, hook it back up, clean it again, just to make all that happen. So the building is physically ready as far as construction, but fully ready for, and MICO stuff, I believe, is probably the most crucial when these teachers and administrators go into that building. Everything has to work, or in the first 5 minutes it's going to be a total nightmare.
Who's doing the desk and everything else?
We've been working with movers because of the volume. We're still going to meet with a few more. That these people move schools. That's what they do.
New furniture then?
Some, quite a bit. What we have for new furniture is all teachers' desks, administration desks, chairs, for all brand new for the teachers. We have them here because we couldn't push them back any further. So I had them
Thanks, Micah.
delivered here, and the mover's going to move them as well. We have all new cafeteria tables and chairs. We have all LGI tables that go in there. We have conference tables and chairs. But then we also have, and that's all new stuff. There's 10 tractor trailers in our parking lot that have miscellaneous things, a lot of food service equipment, all the shelving and racks they need to store their food on. That stuff's all there. That stuff's been there for 2 years. It's not going to be clean. So it's all got to come out, get where it goes, and then clean the entire building.
Who will do the cleaning of?
Well, our staff's going to be pretty tied up doing their work, so we're looking to hire somebody to do that.
Okay, that's fine.
I just
Good.
don't really think it's a good idea to try to have them do their normal job and fit that in.
Right.
It just doesn't make good sense.
Right.
So, is the timeline that Scott is talking about more
That's
feasible than
100%.
what does that do for the closures and opening of the schools? I know that was something. Are we on a
I think we're
timeline?
good because at the last meeting we officially closed one side, and so I think we're good in terms of the time.
It was like a 90-day or something.
That's when we officially close. We'll be good in January.
Okay, all right. I knew there was something there. I don't need to know what it is. If you say it's good, it's good.
So looking at from the time, your time frame to close Moss Side, you're gonna have to get all the teachers,
Lock, stop. and
everything
move
up and
over.
go.
And that's Mike Jack, and we've all
Right.
talked, Mike was in that meeting as well, as far as planning the actual move within service days on the ends. Having them pack everything, and then movers gotta load it all up, get it all there, which could happen in
Right.
a day. That part, but then the teachers need a little time to
Correct.
get organized as well. We can't expect them just to jump in
Right.
there. And some of them, more than others, like tech ed, they're going to have more time involved in getting organized, just due to the nature of what they do. Library, maybe a little more. So the building will be done, yes, but is it fully ready to go in there and hit the ground running and perform what they do without any interruption?
So all this taking into consideration, what would be the day that we're looking at that everybody, all the workers will be out of the building, everything will be set up, the kids can walk in, teachers will be all set, ready to go? What do you,
17.
You thinking Thanksgiving? Did you say around?
What I thought was Thanksgiving would be when the contractors should be out of the building. But then there's all the stuff that Bob's just talked about doing.
Right, but if you're talking about like contractors, we're thinking
Just-
Thanksgiving. But Bob and Micah and Martin.
with everything done?
To piggyback off of Scott's idea, could we kind of meld the two together and maybe set up a day, just maybe the day before Christmas break? Have that be like the orientation day where they get to walk around and see that building like before they go on break, and then come back from break and go to school there?
We have that buffer time we built in, like, it'd be great to get the kids over there.
Maybe something right before Christmas where it'd almost be like it was a
Right.
Christmas opening, Coach, soft opening at Christmas, and then
Really,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go there with everything that's happened, to get to this point and fall short.
Right,
I just think everybody would not look good.
right.
And I think, when you want them to go there, you want them to say, wow, not, oh, well, that ain't done.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, to be able,
I guess I was thinking it was a month.
No,
A month from the dates that they were talking about, so I thought a month might be enough. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Thanksgiving, you don't think, to try to do Thanksgiving, you think it's too soon?
I think that's when the contractors will be out of the building, so that doesn't give
Them
the
time to
staff
do
the
everything,
time to move.
Yeah, and my thought gave us another month, maybe to do all the other things.
Well, when is your staff here Christmas week?
Well, basically one day. If usually we're off 2 days for Christmas, 2 days for New Year's, and there's 1 day in between. So they're here 1 day, in general.
So from Thanksgiving to that.
That gives
to
what I
the
need plenty of
22nd.
time to find issues, because we will find them. And it gives us a chance to rectify that rather than have the
That's-
full building occupied and then bring people in.
right.
But that 22 days is
I
enough
think
time.
that would be plenty.
Give or take a couple.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving to
Sure.
December 22nd.
You're right, might go step that, but, I don't want to speak for him,
Mike,
but
are
I
you on?
think he has the most
yes.
work as far as data and all that.
Micah, what do you see you needing
I don't know, we can hire people.
to be ready, if you're hearing what Bob's saying?
Stuff that's different.
Yeah, so we have several different projects that need completed in the building. Some of it can be completed while construction is still going on, so our network can be installed, our access points can be hung, we can start programming the Wi-Fi locks. But other parts, such as the phone, we will not be able to start that until we close Moss at middle school to bring them over. So there's like a spectrum for us.
Is he like the Wizard of Oz? Is he like behind that?
Micah, where do we stand as far as for, I want to say panic buttons, any kind of safety issues with that? Would that at all be set up prior, or would that have to wait till all construction would be done?
No, so there's two safety-related projects going on. One is the classroom paging system, which includes panic buttons on teachers' lanyards. The other part is the building camera and security system. That is part of a camera project that they will be starting in the next few weeks once they have enough of the ceiling hung so they can run the cables for the cameras.
Okay, thanks.
And what percentage are you saying it'll be complete by that? 80%?
By
By by Thanksgiving, it should be
99%.
Yeah, close to 100. There'll be some dragging minor punch list items. There always are, but it should be mostly complete.
And Guy, if we close this school, can we still rent out the school?
The school?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We just can have enrollments like a school. We could use it.
Bob, I was thinking that we have the Forbes Road Career Technical Center kids. They have some expertise over there, and I was wondering if it might be useful to ask them if they could somehow have their kids engaged under advisement. So you would supervise them. The advisors would have the kids that have warehouse management skills, load things, move them, position them, not plug them in, but, warehouse them, get them from one place to somewhere else.
I don't know,
that's-
insurance
That doesn't
liability.
hurt to have that. I mean, that's why we're talking to movers, because they have to physically move stuff from one location to another.
reduce
But
risk, right.
bodies always help.
And then we've got the cafeteria. So to have the cafeteria team over there at Forbes Road Career Technical Center come in and watch a kitchen be set up, place the refrigerators, get them tuned and cleaned. I mean, they could
help.
scrub and wax or
Yeah, and that,
sanitize. I mean, that's part of what these kids learn to do in a kitchen to have it run professionally. So to have them have that experience under their advisors, under your direction here.
our bodies are definitely shortcoming that we
And then
have.
we also have landscaping, so if the kids could dig holes outside.
That's already contracted, so that would not have any.
Technology, I don't know what the technology needs are here, but if they've got some kids that could wire things or test things
That's
or.
not so much wiring, it's placing the
Plug them
equipment.
in and see if they boot up, and if they don't, fix the operating system, whatever. I don't know, I'm just saying,
But-
we've got them that could help.
If they're available for that. And, I mean, it's obviously timing based on like technology, the tech ed area, like you mentioned. And I'm not sure who the teachers are now, there was some movement. But they, from here, would have to be there, because they have to be there to show up. Where do you want this? This is where it's planned. So it would be useful and helpful. It would just take a little bit of coordination.
Exactly. So Scotty, you are our liaison from the Gateway School Board to the Forbes Road Career Technical Center. Do you have a feeling whether these things that I'm proposing here could or should be done by some of the kids over there? Would they want that or not want it?
I don't know, I'll have to ask.
All right, so why don't you ask and then tell them if they do come over here, we've got to have all the, consents and authorizations and risks and all that signed off on, and we don't know how to do that. So they probably could make some arrangement. And if there's money involved, Dr. Rossi, Mike, if we could somehow pay them something, that would be nice. If not, write it on their resume that they help bring up a refit of a middle school, something like that could help them get hired. I don't know. So these are some ideas that we could use in order to get some of these kids to help us out.
Would there be insurance or liability issues?
All of those things.
Micah,
Yes.
Mike, our help desk kids that you have working, assisting, would they be able to do any of what we're talking about?
Yes, specifically with the classroom AV, they've actually already done similar work in Mosside Middle School with programming the Apple TVs. So they will definitely be able to participate in aspects of that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scotty, for taking this on. Is that a yes? Is that a yes?
I'll be happy to help you.
Sure.
Before this meeting, did you have an idea that we were looking at January?
We talked. We kind of wanted to hear like some details, but we were thinking like Thanksgiving potentially or the break.
So this is, the administration this is doable for
I
the
think
logistics?
just for me, I would prefer, even for the principals, the teachers, to have a buffer time. We don't want to say, Friday we're here and then Wednesday we're over there. That's really not enough time. We
Right.
want the principal to make sure he's acclimated with the building. He knows all the exits. He knows all the door. You know what I mean? The access points. The bus staging is going to be, we have to plan that out. Hallway travel to from cafeteria, those types of things, and just becoming acclimated to really a new building.
Do you think that would be able, based on right this moment, happen when they come back from break?
That would, I think, give us enough of a buffer. Like I think we were talking about, we could have orientations and with the kids coming over there.
So this sounds
November,
feasible,
December.
doable.
I know they want to get in there.
Yeah.
I know they're anxious.
Right.
But we want to make sure
It's done.
that it's.
Well, did when you've talked with the administration, did they actually discuss what would be best in terms of transition, in terms of not disrupting, a particular, their particular programs? Because we know that the different quarters or periods of
I think that they were leaning towards a natural break. And so when I talked to Mr. Jack today, he was thinking Thanksgiving would be like a natural break. If that's not doable, the next natural break would be just the winter break, yeah. Now, with all that being said, we would probably have to adjust the school calendar. And I'd recommend that we take one of those in-service days in October.
Right.
And put it, if it's Thanksgiving, put it around there, or if it's the winter break, we
for
put it.
teachers to
Yes, exactly,
transitions
yes.
to.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have a question, maybe a reminder. The eighth graders that are coming in now, or the fourth graders when COVID shut down, in their lives with transitions have really been swirled around. So our first graders are coming into fifth grade here. I know my kids have concerns with we're here and then we're going here and how are we gonna know this out there? They're very apprehensive about this because they didn't have a break coming to middle school and now leaving middle school, we're being disrupted all over again. How are we gonna mitigate this with the kids?
I think that extending it would help that. I think I think the teachers will be first off comfortable with knowing the building a little more. The principals for sure. We could do orientations in November and December. We could do a couple of them. Get how you get off the bus. If you're a car rider, how do you walk in? That will all be taken care of before we go over there. That's why I was a little concerned if we just shut down on a Friday and move in on a Wednesday. We can't do any of that. And so we want to make sure the kids are comfortable. It's going to be a big building. They're going to have to start like it's starting school again. How do I find my classroom? Where do I load the bus? How do I get to the cafeteria? All those things they're going to have to experience twice. But if we extend it either Thanksgiving or the winter break, we could build orientations in and have that covered.
An orientation would involve busing, you think?
We'd bus the kids over, walk them through if they're a car rider, if they're riding a bus, where do they go, how they enter, exit, where the office is, the nurse's office. They're gonna need to know all that. Yeah.
Is there a plan for parent orientation before?
We could do all that. That would allow us really ample time.
You're not rushing it.
Sure, we could do a Saturday for the parents, so they're not taking off.
We can even open it again for the parents, and students to come back in an evening session,
Spend a
walk it
little
again.
more time.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do any sort of open house walk for the new building for the community that may not have kids here, but
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that because it'll be winter, or maybe do something in the spring. We'll definitely want to do something like that, though, for sure.
Do we know of anybody else who's done a similar, comparable?
Experience.
Comparable project where, maybe we could lean on their insight a little bit and some lessons learned?
Latrobe Elementary School was a new building, and they moved over the Christmas break
Penn Hills. What
from
elementary?
about as far away as you're moving, another area in Latrobe. And that building was about 800 students, so it's a very similar type of thing.
Is it successful? Did
It
they?
was successful.
Yeah.
They had an open house, and they waited like they did what you're doing. They had the option to try to rush it or try to move in stages or all those things, because the project really finished up at about the time this project would finish up.
Very
And
similar.
they decided to do the same things you're talking about.
Okay.
And that's an elementary school?
That was yes, it was an elementary school.
So our first day back from winter break would be January 2nd.
I'd have to get it, I believe.
Yeah.
So are we
Yes.
Yeah.
tentatively saying that's when we will have,
No, I would, we would probably recommend that we adjust the school calendar, take that November, or one of the October in-service days, probably that Monday, one of those days, that Friday maybe, and move that to January, if it's January 2nd,
so we would go
we'd
to
extend it. Yeah, so teachers would come back January 2nd, but that'd be an in-service day.
Okay,
We just swap the
And
in-service
then
day.
the kids the third,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
all right.
Like it.
So you said October in service.
It could be the October, we'd have to look at the calendar.
So
Yeah.
November is one's election day.
Yeah, and there's another one in November as well. Yeah, day before election. It is Monday. It's Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. So that's a potential too. We could potentially take two, but we do have some things scheduled that day. But this is more important. So we could take 2 days if we needed. We could talk about that. Have an option ready to go for Tuesday's meeting. We could talk about the planning, the study session.
You think you'll be ready to give us a hard date on Tuesday's meeting?
If what I'm hearing is you're saying Thanksgiving, I'm thinking
that gives us
the winter break gives
reasonable
us
amount of time to
I didn't want
do
to
what
rush
we
your
have.
decision-making.
No, and just talking about the making kids comfortable, I think just having an extra 4 weeks, just we can do that. Parents, multiple nights to come in, we can do those sorts of things.
So you always have, the music department that have their Christmas holiday, I should say holiday programs and that too. So you don't want to have them back and forth. So that's something else I'd have to plan for too.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather not rush them, so that's good. Okay,
At this point.
I know. We're this far, so I mean, make sure it's done.
This close.
Now, we have lockers, everything will be ready, the auditorium will be ready, everything. Okay,
Yes,
all right, sounds good.
the lockers are currently in storage, so
Okay.
we're ready to put in.
We have the lockers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because you here, you don't have the seats for the auditorium, you don't have, just making sure everything's all ready to go.
So Guy, I just thought of this, or should I address you?
No,
Madam President,
just,
I was just thinking, we've got some retired teachers out here who just might like to go back to the old place, and they already know their way around, and they already know how to be around kids. Bring some of those retired teachers to act as like hall monitors for like 2-3 days, help with orientation. They know what to look for. They know how to help kids get off the bus and find the girls' room and all the gymnasium. So if we could invite some of them to come back,
Good luck
they might
with
just
that.
want to do it. And we've also have some coaches who are already cleared, volleyball coaches and everything. They might want to come over and just help out a bit.
I'd be able to say.
You can always ask.
Always ask.
So if we need warm bodies, I mean, that's one way to find them, right? People who are already vetted, already cleared.
Probably are a few that would like to do that.
We also have a lot of high school students that already do that type of
Mentoring thing.
function different times of the year.
Let's have them do it too. Yep.
Yeah, and you can appeal to them through the student government or through whatever other organizations that they have. And
This is their school system. Let's let them put a hand in and help out.
So on the work thing, then you will touch base with Forbes. Okay. And then we will look at the calendar for Tuesday.
Yep.
That's good.
And you'll talk to the student government.
Yeah, we'll take care of that
Yeah.
in the fall.
How's your to-do list?
It's only one of them.
Are we
All right, we're good. Yeah, are we, unless there any other questions for
Had a
Hank and
long
Doug?
day.
Yeah, any other questions?
For Doug and Hank? Anybody?
Hey, at the opening of the school, was that one go present the check to us?
Of course.
We have to get some answers too, so don't take it all.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Keep you longer than.
Dr. Sam?
Thank you. And yeah, make sure that the individual departments get a chance to have their own orientation.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay.
Middle school fields update.
Okay, well, football field, might as well start with that. Turf is starting to be laid this Friday. It's all there on site, ready to go. That takes approximately 3 weeks. And then as soon as that's done, the track company is following up to do the track. So that's moving along quite well. What you have here in front of you is about the baseball fields. And Jack had asked me to get some pricing as far as grass, as well as the turf, so you could see where that all would be. So I've listed out there the different possible options that if we did a grass field with a clay infield, basic field, that's the first one at $505, $350. Now that is with a seeded outfield, still includes all the fencing, backstops, dugout pads. So that is your first option. The second number there at $625, $350, it's all the above, but using sod for the outfield and an irrigation system with it. Then, as you follow down, you have turf infield only with a seeded outfield, no irrigation system. Again, fences, backstops, that's still all part of it. It has to be. And then lastly, you have the full turf field.
What will you do the turf infield with the seeded outfield and the irrigation system?
The irrigation system costs approximately $45,000. The sod, there's a lot of area in the outfield, as you know, so it's a lot of sod. So that was $70,000, $75,000.
And there's something necessary, an irrigation system when you have
Well,
sod?
you do, because you gotta keep it wet in order for it to root.
Oh.
And you want the water to drain off the field somehow.
Yeah, so we put drains in to drain the water, which doesn't help us if we're trying to grow grass, either seeded or sodded, but doing it in the fall helps tremendously because you don't have the hot days, you get more rain days. Our winters aren't brutal, so we get that moisture as well.
What is Title IX?
Title IX, I put that on there just to bring it up. The girls will be playing on turf. Their softball field is portion of the football field. It's built into that. I just wanted to bring that up to people so they didn't forget it, that if we got the girls playing on turf and the boys playing on dirt, that could be an issue.
If you remember when we talked about the complex here on the high school, when you look at the Title IX world, literally almost to a case, it involves softball and baseball, because they're really the only facilities that the genders have different facilities that they use. In other words, not to recap, but the gym, both basketball teams, both volleyball teams, boys and girls, the tennis courts, the pool, the track.
Oh, it's because of the different
the soccer
sizes
field.
between
All
softball.
all in the same facility. The only place where there are clearly different facilities constructed are baseball and softball. So when people get into trouble in our world athletically related in education, it's because of disparities between the baseball and softball facilities. I will say that, again, 9 out of 10 times, it's been the baseball has been better than the softball. It's rare that you have baseball people with a grievance, but we could see, we have to factor that in. I would fully endorse making sure that the facilities that are used by boys and girls are as close as we can make them to identical.
So based on not being in violation of Title IX for the next 15 years that we expect these fields to not be replaced, you would recommend not the top half of this sheet I'm looking at?
I would think that if we put a full grass field in, although it would be nice, even if it's sodded out field and a new clay infield, it would look, clean and sharp, but I think we would be exposed in that case. I would have to maybe talk to some folks, above my pay grade in the Title IX world and ask about the turf infield versus the full field. Since we're integrating the softball field, it's standalone facility. Maybe you could make a case that having a turf infield in the baseball complex and having the integrated softball is equivalent. Maybe that would be something that we could, that's a question I'd like to ask
So
someone
that's
in that world.
third line on this
Right.
paper.
That's the turf infield only.
Okay.
As much as it pains me to say this, if we would do turf infield and irrigation, you're looking at about 700,000. And for 400,000 more, you have everything done, no maintenance, no worries about cutting grass. And when you have the turf infield, many of these schools, what they find out is with the grass outfield, it tends to creep up underneath the turf infield, if you contaminate, etc. And for them, doing it right the first time, having it done, I mean, this is just my opinion.
And I didn't want to just wave the banner as the athletic director to say, hey, let's do the whole thing in turf. But I will tell you that our neighbors that have done turf infields, almost all of them are talking about or in the process of transitioning to full turf fields.
Yes.
So it's, you either go all grass, I think, in 2023 and deal with the potential exposure with Title IX, or you go all turf. And again, I realize I'm not paying for this out of my pocket, but I do realize that this is, I was gonna make a sizable donation as far as you know.
I thought.
But that being said, I think that's the reality of the way I see it.
And
Mike.
it would be cheaper to do it now than to wait.
Right.
So what are the,
Go ahead.
what are the other, I guess if you're making a pro-con list, what are the other pros? So I have never played baseball or softball, so full disclosure. So what other benefits does the turf give? Is there additional safety benefits to players, with reps and stuff?
There was an early issue with any synthetic turf that related to something, again, I'm no scientist, just ask my profs at the Naval Academy, but it was torque, coefficient of torque release. So basically, the surface area of the bottom of the shoe as related to how it would react when you turned suddenly or moved suddenly. The early versions of turf, it was very different than grass. And there were a lot of those turf injuries where you're non-contact, people would just move or run or perform a normal sports, activity, and they would tear an ACL or things like that. So they've worked that torque release coefficient is now really close, if not exactly identical to grass. The other thing that you can control with synthetic turf is the Gmax, which is the impact of a blow on that turf hitting the turf. And it's tested and required to meet certain standards by that industry. So having that in play, we're talking about, they've eliminated the difference maybe on synthetic surfaces as it related to that torque issue. And they've also now made sure that, you can have a harder grass field technically than you could a turf field by the standards that are required in the turf world. So, yeah, so I think again, you don't have a bad bounce. And again, when you talk about, and I haven't done all the math on how much it costs Bob and man hours to mow and to line and to seed and to air, irrigate and to aerate and to, whatever. There's a lot that goes into that, and there's some. I'll admit that it's not completely maintenance free. We want to brush the turf and we want to take care of the high traffic areas. There's some things to do on turf, but the comparison is the reason that people go to turf in the first place.
So overall maintenance.
Overall maintenance is tiny, a fraction, a small fraction compared to doing a grass field. And not to mention that, the teams can get out there earlier, they can stay out there later, the community, and that's another discussion that we started in another meeting about, some rentals of our turf. But the other neat thing about baseball fields compared to like football fields, even on turf, is that there's a great deal of the field that is rarely used. You don't, the first base area, the home plate area, the pitcher's mound or pitcher's circle in softball, sliding areas right before each base, they have a lot of wear. But, left center field on our baseball field can go an awfully long time without really any wear on it, because you don't have people running around compared to a football field or a soccer field where the middle of the field on a grass field in October is gone because everything happens there. That doesn't happen in baseball or softball. So again, no maintenance or very little maintenance, and a product that's going to last a long, long time, with whatever amount of uses we want to have in that sport on there.
The good thing too is bees, have bees with the flowers in the grass, allergies, stuff like that.
So I'm going to ask the big question. I'm watching our business manager over there going back and forth with the numbers. How do we stand financially in the district to look at the
Well, we budgeted for this whole project for the middle school softball, baseball, and football, 1.7 million.
Okay.
So, if what I'm breaking down, it looks like we have about 751,000 allocated towards baseball and softball for the middle school project.
So you're looking,
Another
400,000 difference.
now, how do we stand
No, that's one cut.
financially to handle something like this?
We're actually right on schedule, other than
Per cut for a field.
We've been
See, we
doing
do it
as
like
far
we
as
cut
paying
the
the
district,
contractors
it's
every month.
$1,400.
Okay, but what I'm saying is our budget that we have here at Gateway,
To cut
to
the
hit
fields.
them with another 400,000.
Additional cost, but it's roughly $50 to cut. Like this field back here, it's like $50.
And the fund balance, there's like $12 million
How many? 12 million.
in our fund balance.
And just one other little piece. Go ahead, sorry, Mike.
To throw another caveat out there, we've been doing really well in our investments. I think just in this construction account, I think we made over 600,000 last year in interest that we can use towards this fund.
Oh, and we're gonna save money with grass cutting.
A
A little bit, but
I don't think that's
I was trying.
Right.
That field can also be available for rental over there. I mean, an all-turf baseball field and this turf softball field, we can expand any of the folks that are using us with similar rates over there.
Is
So you
that
almost
field-
double your income potentially, depending on who's looking.
Is that field gonna be lit?
No.
No.
No, we talked about that early on. We actually even had numbers more for the football field than baseball. And it was about $400,000 just to do that, and we really couldn't justify it.
Do middle
think
school
that's a
kids play late at night?
No.
So if they don't, then why?
They play at 4 o'clock, and I think that's a great cutoff point. The turf thing, I can make a good case for and feel very good about the recommendation. To recommend lights there and additional cost for that, I think would be egregious, so it would be over the top. I don't
If they
think. we
ever
need
want
lights.
to do something like that, John, you bring them to the stadium and really blow it up. Put it
Either
there.
stadium, the baseball fields up top?
Yeah,
Or the
any of
football?
them, for sure.
Okay,
What is our time frame with the softball field?
Well, the softball is part of the football field, which is starting to lay turf Friday.
Well, when, would
But the baseball field, they're waiting on an answer.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
Yeah, they're
what we
just
do
waiting
is-
on
is
which way do we go.
And then once we give an
You
answer,
can make it an action item, they're ready to roll.
Yeah.
so once we give an answer, what, do you have any idea what kind of time frame
They're
still?
ready to start on it, so a couple months before the winter.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering,
Yeah,
if it
they're-
would get in
that
before
way-
winter.
Yeah, and
That would be done before the school opens.
yeah, are very close, and, you know, if we get that going, it's all been designed, all the permits are in place, but there was some indecision on which direction to go, and I get asked every day that question, did you get an answer, did you get an answer?
so the track facilities that we're looking at as far as discus, the shot put areas.
We're gonna put those in as, we got the discus area will be going in outside of the baseball area, which is still gonna be grass around the outside. So we have that spot available in the shot put area. We actually have that there, that'll still be next to the track, on the, if you're looking at the field, the left-hand end. Like the PennDOT end.
And while the javelin is technically available at that age level, nobody in our area throws the javelin. Our middle school does not have a javelin throwing program, and none of the teams we compete with expect to throw the javelin or do when they're here. So
Okay, excuse my ignorance, but can you clarify again for me? Okay, when I drive, okay, I know the base, I'm driving a 48. So what they have just completed, I mean, with the baseball,
In
because they're- and then
You're talking high school.
high school. Now, what is right next to that? What was that they were just
That is a
completed?
phys ed field,
Auxiliary field, extra field.
which is used for soccer, football, lacrosse,
Right.
anybody that golf, phys ed, some golf,
it's lined for soccer, it's lined for lacrosse,
Okay.
line for
it's lined
football.
for football, so any of those teams of any age group can practice
Yeah,
there.
we've actually been using it quite often for the middle school soccer team that this summer, because they play on
They
turf.
aren't finished. Are they just, I thought they just
Finished.
finished.
We just lined the parking lot today.
I saw.
The new parking lot is, and they're gonna do a second coat on the lines tomorrow. It'll be open for use Friday.
Oh, okay. So now, the middle school, so that whole field is softball?
The field,
See,
when
that's
you
why I
drove
wasn't
in
sure.
there and you were looking at the building, what's behind you is actually the baseball field.
And football.
And the football field is down at the end along the parkway, right behind PennDOT.
Football.
Might go.
This is a,
Is that where it was before?
Yeah.
Same place. It's not much
do you
land.
have any of the
Bring up a
pictures?
picture of the middle school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can pull one up. Give me 1 minute.
They're on the clock.
Auxiliary field or my side
Is
soccer.
You go to the stadium. Where it's
No,
all
we-
field.
School,
Okay.
then
The
field.
Mason football field, that's not, we're not talking
Yes.
about.
Or Nicole's
One of
field.
the coaches, the girls maybe.
Yeah, the boys.
And that field.
Yeah, the boys, because we were supposed to, and then we ended up
Yeah, the
going.
middle school girls, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no, that's how they are.
Okay.
And when our stadiums filled, even like if we got girls and boys soccer, high school, one of those, they'll go up there, because it's 80, I mean, they can do anything they want
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Hey, come on, you're not supposed to tell.
Oh, please.
That's my hand on your leg if you want.
Stop it.
Okay, what angle were we looking for?
Can you show the fields?
Field.
Just to, the high view,
This is-
that way they can kind of get an idea
This is
of
the
how
spot
they sit.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
Oh.
So there's,
No, you had it.
okay,
That's good.
stop,
You can
stop.
stop it there. So you can see the football field on the left,
Oh, okay,
baseball field is on the right,
okay.
and the school would be towards us.
Do you see back?
So what is this out here?
Oh, that's the practice field. That's like the auxiliary field.
Oh,
That's for,
okay.
so are you saying, I gotta come up here, I don't have a pointer, but are you saying where this is here, these are gonna stay as far as the throws?
Not there. They will be, and just because that field is oriented incorrectly.
Yeah, we need to move the in.
We're moving the infield, so where Valerie just, this is where your home plate will be,
Which would match what we
right
have here.
here. So, because of the sun.
Right.
This, we're gonna put
Over in
this area, which is grass outside of the fence. The shot put area is actually on this end of the football field.
And where's the girls' field?
That's what I was gonna say, softball.
Also oriented correctly, so home plate for the girls will be here playing that way.
If they hit one on the parkway, it's a home run.
If they hit it on the parkway,
The
you
only-
better sign them
Our
up.
field here is 200 feet, so we have, you know, when you think of a football field being 53 1/3 yards across, you know, the diagonal gives us enough room to have a full softball field.
Nice.
Yeah, that's an eyesore there.
Okay, Maiko, do you have a overview of the auxiliary field here at the high school? And that softball and baseball area?
Would you like a
Susan,
drone shot or just like a satellite image?
Drone shot would be great.
Yeah, I don't think satellite will be new enough.
No. Oh.
We've had people show up.
okay,
Oh, wait,
okay, this is the baseball,
okay.
okay. And that white area in the back,
Yeah, give me 1 second, I'm sorry.
okay. That's your baseball.
Right.
Okay, softball's next to it.
Mhm.
Baseball is.
Okay.
Okay, stop. Okay, so all that white is the auxiliary field, the practice field that is now turfed? That you're passing is what you're asking.
Wait, now where is that? That's,
This is, okay, that's.
We need to run that drone out again, Micah, and get a new one.
The parking lot's done, so now it
Okay.
really looks finished.
Yeah, today, tomorrow would be a great day
Okay,
for
this is
drone run.
baseball, correct?
right.
Shot.
Yeah, the parking lot like it
Okay,
is.
where that white is, that's the auxiliary
Before I
field,
came
where
down
they
here
have
with the guy
soccer
painting the lines.
and football.
I think Micah's gonna be really upset if he gets to go play with his drone tomorrow or today, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Might wanna check
Over
with
to
him.
the left, there's like a triangle.
It's
You see it, it says
120 to be a-
Gators, and then there's that G on the wall. You see that where it says Gators on the wall?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right behind that. Coach, is that you have now as a golf?
Yeah, right where you see the tractor roughly to the left of that as we look at it in that space, it almost lines up with the end of the 10-foot wall in left field of the baseball stadium. There is a putting green that's being completed. So we have basically a chip and putt area. We'll be able to potentially hang nets or mats for our golfers.
We never
to
had
get
that
into.
before, did we?
No, we did not.
Okay.
We did not. Now it was grass, so I mean, phys ed classes could go out and chip the ball or something if they were teaching them golf. But this is an actual synthetic surfaced putting green
Okay.
that our golfers can use, and we think there's going to be other elements of them being able to hit the ball there too.
Okay, here's the $100,000 question. What's going on with our library field right out here?
Well, this is, and I actually have a question to ask all you. It was the dirt from the trenches from our fields. So that was earmarked to be last, so we didn't have to pay to haul away all the dirt that had to be dug up to create the drainage system.
Okay.
So, we're still gonna have a little bit more for that, and then, that would be next.
So what, when you say next, what are we doing there?
Well, that is going to be a blacktop area for the
Yeah.
band to practice on.
Okay.
Right now, they practice in the student parking lot, very dangerous.
Yeah.
A lot of conflicts. When we have soccer games, they're out there, there's nowhere for anybody to park. It's,
So any time frame earmarked with that, because obviously they can't do it this summer.
we're thinking that's gonna start in the spring when we have all of the excess dirt, so we're not paying to haul dirt away that goes here.
So if we vote to turf that field over there, the excavation from all that dirt over there would come over here.
Yes. And what that does is it raises the field up, which means the ramp coming down to it shorter. Everything is better. I was actually approached by our site contractor from the middle school about if we would be able to accept additional clean fill. So first step was I called the township, spoke with them, because I didn't want to file up any permits or county permits by saying, yeah, we'll be glad to. So I spoke with Monroeville about it.
Thanks, Micah.
And they looked at it and said, well, we're good. You know, if you want to do it and it's clean fill, they're down the road. They have approximately as much as we just put there. So that may raise us up another foot. I mean, I actually had opportunities that we could have filled that entire thing up, but I thought that would be asking a lot. At no cost to us.
Okay.
You know, which is good. The closer we get that to the road, the better. Even on this side. So, I mean, that's something I wanted to ask, you know, the board in general, if there was any concerns or about saying, yeah, we can take your clean fill.
I think it's a good idea to fill it up as much as you can.
Well, I thought so too, but I didn't want to be the one to just say, okay, yeah, bring it.
And again, as an exclusive band practice area, when they're practicing, it's closed. So there's no traffic that needs to go through there. There's no risk to our band members or staff.
Yeah.
Now, when we don't have band things going on there, it's additional parking. For this, down here, if there's anything going on down here, stadium-wise, it's still a parking lot. So,
Oh, that's what I wonder too, when they aren't practicing. So you're saying it'll be, they can use it like a parking lot?
it'll be lined
Okay.
similar to the way our stadium parking lot is.
Oh, okay.
It has parking lines, but it also has lines that, outlay the football field to simulate that on the asphalt.
Okay. So,
But there are lights on the perimeter because we don't want light poles in the middle of our practice area. And there is a difference.
so there
between
are lights on where the
There
band
will,
would
yeah,
practice?
there'll definitely be
Yeah,
lights
I
there as
figured,
well.
because they practice late.
The difference between a band practice area and a parking lots, you have to have islands in the middle and plantings and things like that, which then it doesn't work for a band practice area. When you build a new parking lot, they want all their green space and things like that. So we build it as a band practice area.
But
Anything after that is up to you guys.
We can use it as no.
I mean, there's lots of, it's gonna have a driveway down to it, and so.
I just want to ensure that it will be a band practice spot first.
Yeah.
Like, even if there is an
The
event
only
and they
time,
don't get,
if anything ever would occur, you've got 2, 3, 4 times a year that our lot is overflowing and they're parked on every piece of grass, and there is graduation and the big football games, the big rivalry games. That's really it. Maybe open house, but we're not going to be here. So open house is going to be across town.
okay.
One thing I would say is, if you can make it as high up as you can, because when they push the instruments and
Yes.
everything down there, it'll be hard to push uphill.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
And we actually wanted to put, since we own this road, this is Gateway's Road, not Township's. We want a controllable flashing light at the bottom of the student parking lot. That's where the ramp comes up, so we can control it to red or whatever for the band and pedestrians.
Bob, help me understand if you would, please. We're about to pave over that band marching area sometime soon, but you said it would be better if the level were raised all the way up, so it's
much as
meets the
possible.
road. So the question I have for you is there clean fill dirt available around somewhere whereby if you would make a call for that, it could come in a reasonable time?
There is to a certain extent.
County, the turnpike, builders that have extra dirt. We've got some stuff from the Gateway Middle School. So in other words, if you set some sort of a limit, like 8 months or 4 months or something like that, to collect as much clean fill as you can.
That certainly help the overall project.
Because if you don't do that, in other words, if we don't do that, then we're going to pave it with some asphalt. And then if we need to do something different with it 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, we're going to have to
Yeah,
throw
that
away
would
the
be-
asphalt that we've put down on there
expensive
and then bring it
change.
up. So in other words, if we're going to do it, now's the best time to collect as much clean fill, if it's out there to be
And
had.
there are people that we deal with, I mean, they ask me all the time. Now, we don't want, a small guy bringing a truck. We want professional
Turnpike
people, and we've been
County.
working with this one, which, he had a project a little while back. We could have filled that entire thing.
Okay, so.
And we're not having enough coming from the middle school to?
No, there's.
Really?
That, unless you're down there, you don't realize how far down you are.
Oh.
On this side of it here, you're 8 to 9 feet below this road. And it gets higher up the other end, so you're not gonna, otherwise you'd be on a slope.
If you would make a recommendation to the board or to the superintendent.
I'll speak with the contractors that we know are, quality contractors that do a lot of work in this area.
And ask them what their
And what
availability
their
is.
availability, what their projects are that are coming up here soon, then we could have a better idea.
Very good.
We already filled that in once when we did the high school.
About 4 feet.
So it needs to go a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And that's fine, okay.
Can I go back one? I'm still stuck on this Title IX. I always see dugouts for the baseball fields. Over there, do the softball, if they're on the
We
football?
have no dugouts over there. And we
On-
never
on-
did.
Middle school doesn't have dugouts.
Middle school doesn't have
Right.
them, okay.
Benches at the middle school.
Oh, okay.
Which we would have portable benches for softball and permanent benches for baseball.
Okay, all right.
And a portable backstop because you're using them for football and soccer as well. Very similar to the one Dawn purchased for our field up here, the turtle cage they call it, but that's a perfect backstop for softball.
Okay.
Okay, since you brought that back up again.
Sorry.
So, no, what I'm gonna say is, all right, so if we're going back to this all turf field, what we did up here at our baseball field, our pitcher's mound, the wear and tear that it is showing right now, that will be different than what we will do over at the middle school?
No, I think there can be a better effort from all of our internal people as well as external people to be diligent about the maintenance that you need to do on that mound. We're supposed to put a mix of sand and rubber in there after every use, and I don't feel that we've done a good enough job of doing that. Whether it's our own people.
Responsibility is
I would like to make it a responsibility of us as an athletic department, and that's another conversation we're gonna have about rentals. That I had a good conversation with, the gentleman today, and I think we've reached a pretty solid compromise on where to go with that organization. But we would have somebody here for us being part of their normal duties, doing the mound as well.
Would they need to do field like the high?
Traffic areas.
Well, if we want to jump all the way into that, I think the key players in the discussion about our turf baseball fields, usage versus longevity, all those kind of things. I think there's a couple of people to talk to. One is our people at Shaw, Ray Battistel and his staff of people. And I had a long conversation, actually settled with Ray. The other one is our primary rental. The Atlantic Coast Baseball, where we had Matt here at the last meeting on Zoom, and we talked about it. So a couple of things have transpired in the interim, and I mentioned earlier, because there's so much, the uniqueness of baseball and softball in terms of many places on the field that don't have high traffic or where, we're not going to be looking at a significantly different length of life of our field with many, many uses versus very few uses. The math doesn't say that if we have a whole bunch of uses that the whole field's going to, not make it to warranty or have any issues. So I'm very comfortable saying we want to rent the field, and we want to have as many people rent it as often as they want to rent it, and we're fine. We already have materials in hand to replace initially that was part of our initial purchase. So we have things that for home plate area, for first base area, for the pitcher's circle in softball, we already bought those materials. So whenever they do need to be replaced, it's just labor that we pay for. Actually, we wouldn't pay for it now because it's still be warranty. So we're really looking at no cost to replace those high traffic areas. So many areas are not high traffic. The few that are, we have materials to replace them, and again, foreseeably, if they need to be replaced again, we're in a good position to do that.
And again, yes, the money that we bring in going to a specific account.
I would agree, as well as if we end up having a similar situation at the middle school. Added on to that is working with Atlantic Coast Baseball, and again, I know we may not have gotten to that conversation yet, but the compromise that was reached was, I don't have a problem, and I never had a problem with, if the softball game lasts an hour and 14 minutes, I'm not going to prorate them for the 14 minutes. If a baseball game lasts an hour and 40 minutes, I'm not going to prorate them even for the 40 minutes. I can live with saying a game is this or a game is that. We pay about $15 an hour for lights to be on. It's not a large number. I think we should still talk to renters about if they want the lights. We put 25 on the thing. I'm okay with asking that question of potential renters that use the lights. Again, I don't think it's a deal maker or breaker, but I think it's fair to ask about that kind of rental. The only sticking point was we were not comfortable with supervision. And I don't want to make, Matt DeSantis or Atlantic Coast Baseball public enemy number one, like they were the only group that's ever misbehaved at a venue. But we weren't comfortable that a 22-year-old kid making $15 an hour had the authority to do anything to adults that were on site. So the discussion that I had with Matt, in my suggestion and certainly almost insistence that we have somebody on site from us, is that we thought a number of $25 an hour made sense. But what we're going to do is we're going to meld that position, and we're going to eliminate his guy, and our guy or girl is going to perform the duties that his site manager was performing, in addition to being here in an authority position to manage the site while it's going on. So basically, he's paying an additional $25 per hour, but he's really only paying $10 extra per hour because he eliminates his employee. And I think that's a fair trade-off to get somebody here. I think it's a number that all of our site managers that work our events would be happy with, and we could get people to staff it. And when we have an event, the only other caveat that was in play is on a day where we don't normally have a custodial person here. Sunday's probably the only day. We would then ask them to pay a fee to offset the overtime that we're paying somebody to come in on a Sunday. So Matt is okay with all of that. He's okay with, we're talking about charging him per game, we're talking about adding the $25, which again is really only like $10 in net change, and adding Sunday potentially if we don't have somebody here already. He's okay with saying, I get it, you know, we'd pay for somebody to come in and change the trash can liners and be on site if there's a problem in the bathrooms or whatever it might be. All of that is in play. So I do think we've reached a place where we're going to generate the revenue that we hope to generate. We're going to alleviate and assuage the concerns we had about lack of supervision of anybody being there, whatever group it might be, including this one. And I think we're looking at, you know, all those, you know, events happening here. He even asked if we could bring back a backstop, the portable backstop, and use the auxiliary field for coach pitch baseball or anything like that, which is why I think when the middle school stuff is done, he'll be looking to rent that as well. Please, and Scott, I know there was concern at the last meeting that, you know, he doesn't need us and he's going to move on. And, you know, he assured me that, you know, he's a Monroeville Chamber of Commerce guy. He's on the Visit Monroeville Commission. He started here. He's been here. He's 10 minutes away from here in terms of his residence. He wants to be here. And I think the fair price that we've offered him ensures that he's going to be here. And I can tell you from talking to all the different groups that aren't Atlantic Coast baseball that are on the prowl for fields that they can use every summer, he needs our fields. And again, we're not doing him wrong. We're in a very fair price point, and he's okay with it. And again, we're getting a fair price for using the field. He's paying a fair price. I think it was negotiated well, and I don't know that he's looking to go anywhere else.
Do you have a one-pager or something that outlines the price? Did I miss that?
We don't have anything in writing yet. I would think it would be something we could have for the board meeting.
Okay, so we want that for
Yeah.
so we can get it tomorrow.
And I'll throw one more in, a good faith move by Matt based on Val's earlier question. I had asked him and he has offered to pay for that $500 pitcher's mound repair out of good faith, even though technically it wasn't on him only by any stretch. But because he played a lot of games and we had a problem with our turf mound, he's willing to pay the $350 plus the shipping to replace that 5x5 piece if we're not under warranty with the perfect mound folks.
And Bob was just whispering in my ear about the consensus. And I said, yeah, there's good opportunity for any organization to get
Sure.
to run that whenever Matt's up here with this. And you're not gonna make a ton of cash. I think we made $300 one night.
We saw a lot of money during the Whitfield playoffs and PIAA playoffs. Again, they're larger crowds because you have school followings versus just maybe parents and friends. But the volume of games offsets that a little.
It's an option for
Yeah.
clubs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Baseball and softball would get first dibs. Do they want to open up, you know, during those days? Yeah, and then we could move it on down. So.
Now, can we get, you're good on your end?
I have a question though.
I mean, that's, Matt and I have been dealing together for 10 years. Our biggest problem was they were dirt fields. And
Yeah.
like I said, Matt's a solid citizen around here. I mean, well known. That's why he does the tournaments that he does. I mean, on a 4-day weekend, there can be 48 games. You know, because we're not losing weather-related issues. And generally, lighting, it's one game, like the end of Sunday, they got to get their playoff finals in. So even lighting has not been an issue. And their group has always been solid.
So, I have go ahead, John, I have a question for you. So you're gonna have somebody from your staff be oversight.
A Gateway employee in a position of authority will be on site for the entirety of any of those tournaments.
And again, and I agree with you, I don't wanna make Matt like a poster person of this, but what are the consequences of the drinking and the smoking and
Well, I mean, we first we would do the reasonable thing and we would say, hey, look, you can't have your dog here, or you can't smoke here, or you know, and just like Yeah, with the metal spikes part, because that's another, the Google Earth thing. We had a couple teams show up by looking at Google Earth, and it was dirt still on Google Earth. So they thought we can bring our spikes, even though Matt's operation and our rules say no spikes, metal spikes. Some people showed up and they had to be, hey, you can't wear metal. But that all being said, I think reasonably, I can speak to what we do at a normal basketball game. If we have somebody that brings food into the gym or does something that they aren't supposed to do, a noisemaker, we ask them politely to stop. We told people during Whitfield playoff games, I'm really sorry that you came here from Washington, PA, from Trinity with your dog, but your dog can't be on campus, so you need to come up with a better idea. And people generally comply with the a polite ask. Certainly, if we had somebody who said, "Hey, I'm going to smoke this joint, and I don't care what you say," well, then we got to get the police involved. And so, we're not going to get them in a headlock or taser them. We're going to just call authorities and say, and we'll have that ability to do that if we need it. So
I've been part of different, and again, never baseball, but different things where we've actually gotten emails from the coaches like, "Hey, your kid will not be asked to come back." So I didn't know. Not that I want that either, but talk to the coaches. There's a relationship. Send out an email like, "Here's the rules, guys."
Yeah, so we can give Matt the rules.
Yeah.
He can provide it with all the coaches that are coming in.
right, and then we have somebody that, because again, I'd like to tell you that nobody goes the wrong way when our do not enter sign. I'd like to tell you that nobody goes the wrong way in front of the sports complex, but everybody does. So I mean, we'll give them the rules. Most people will follow the rules. Most people, those who don't, maybe either know the rules because of ignorance or choose to ignore them a little bit, we'll politely remind them. And then the very odd person or the rarity where somebody flaunts it and says, "I'm not going to follow the rules," then we have to, have a heavier we either ask them to leave or we ask the police to help them ask them to leave. So.
Yes, the fee schedule that we have for Gateway Middle School, if we do plan on turfing the baseball field, will that have to be adjusted?
It would be identical to what we're doing at the baseball field.
So that will have to be adjusted in our schedule. Okay.
And I think there might even be something in there that says, here's the cost if it's turfed. We knew that it was a possibility, but not a certainty. So we might already have in the fee schedule that the cost will change if it's all turf.
Okay.
And we would make that change, yes.
People over when I'm going to play kickball.
All right.
It was just really
Do
quick.
we have anything else on the fees?
I just texted it.
Leslie,
Give me that.
Yes.
have anything else on the fees?
For Monday, is that okay?
No, I
Friday?
think I think Dawn's conversation was probably very helpful in getting with Matt, and I would hope that this organization is an outlier in organizations as big as it with as many games as they play, but we do have a fee schedule. But and again, Matt has been part of this.
So, Mike, on your end, do you have any idea how many games have been played that we could issue invoices or whatever, since I don't think anything has been paid forward yet?
We have all that in our system,
Bob and I and Mike can get that figured out.
We're just kind of waiting for this to find out how much, and then we can put that invoice together.
Okay. All right, so if you guys can work on it, just
Yeah,
as it's been
between
going on.
us,
Yeah, are you gonna have to approve this
Yeah.
Tuesday or next, or the following week? Once that's approved, then we'll,
Right,
Then we'll bill them.
and then we have all that information to do so.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, we
So
will.
Val, I think what I'd like to try to do is come up with a proposed method for deciding whether we're going to turf or grass at Gateway Middle School. So we've got 4 steps here. I propose the first step is to inform the public that there's an option and the costs, pros and cons. So some sort of blast needs to be assembled. The information needs to go out and say, what does the public think? And then give them a way to give us feedback. Number 2, request feedback by a certain date. Number 3, are we going to have a board meeting on August 7th? the second Tuesday of this month? That would be August 2nd?
It's the 8th, and it is a study session, yes.
So if we make it an action item for August 8th, would that be possible for us to do it? If it passes, whichever way we go, grass or turf or combination, whatever the thing is, then step number 4 is Bob Brown has the freedom then to instruct the architects according to whatever technique that you guys come up with to carry it out. So is that too quick?
As far as an action item,
I wouldn't mind, certainly the sooner the better, like you said, having it in place by the study session and making it an action item. And I don't want to delay it anymore, but I think the study session could almost be the place where it's introduced and it's a public meeting. So the public would have opportunity to be aware of it there and then make it official at the actual meeting.
And Mike,
I think the study session would be the informational part for the public.
if Mike,
I agree, it's too quick. Right. The way I have it here is too quick.
so if Mike was available, then he would be available then to talk about the cost analysis, you know, with 400,000
That would
compared.
give you time to prepare the finances.
Right.
Guy, is that acceptable to you?
So
Bob, is that
everything's,
acceptable to you?
I just need direction.
Now, if we delay by that one extra week,
That 1 extra week's not gonna kill us. I mean, these guys, like I said, they're,
this is a good approach now. Okay, very
I
good.
wish we could do the earlier week, but I think the better plan is, like we said, to let it play out.
So we'll make a motion for August 8th, and then we'll vote on that motion.
decide then to make it an action item, you can't.
that's true too. If we're all very well informed.
All right, so the advertisement for the study session meeting should contain a lot of information. There's a field question, we've got some monies available, you know, what the cost will be, what the pros and cons, maintenance, so that's got to be a full one-pager someone's going to write. Who's going to write that?
Let's not all raise our hand at one time, please.
So someone has to, Dr. Rossi, would you take it upon yourself to find out a way to get the information out to the public so that when they come to the study session, they're already armed with some ideas for us?
Well, that'd be good for the whole board to.
Right, yeah.
I would
A
suggest
backgrounder.
we Just send out the agenda then. We'll have the agenda done Friday. We just send out the agenda or post agenda more prominently, or send out a blast saying, hey, the agenda's available, put this in, or something to that effect.
But we need to tease out the pros and cons because the public aren't experts, the board's not experts. Exactly, that would be a good help.
that's what I think.
Finance.
How much money we earned and use that towards.
Right.
A good discussion, a good, healthy, well-rounded discussion.
And if we have this discussion Tuesday and everybody is, you know, comfortable with it, we can even make it an action item then.
And John, this is being recorded and will be posted this meeting right now as
So,
well.
Michael, that would mean that it would be good if this is posted like tomorrow rather than a day or 2 or 3. Tomorrow is a good time to post this.
Yeah.
Micah,
And one of
Yeah, I can have it
the,
up tomorrow.
once the board approves the fee structure, you know, with minor modifications for Atlantic Coast, we would also be able to publicly give people some idea of what kind of revenue we're looking at receiving, at least in year 1, on, you know, in our favor.
All right, so one more.
That's what constituents want to see when you start putting out millions.
So one more piece of logistics. Do we expect that a lot of people are going to show up for this meeting so that we should have it over at the LGI where we have more seating? Or is it going to be a small amount where we could just have people?
Could be here. You're lucky to get, look how many you got, but you're lucky to get 12.
I agree. That sound good?
that's great.
Okay.
All right.
Now break it down.
High school north entrance.
No,
Go ahead. The high school north entrance, where do we stand with that?
It's on the floor on Friday. We're waiting on one thing from Micah, which is the reader for the card, which he told me is in Pittsburgh or is going to be here shortly. As soon as that's in, it's hooked up and ready to open. So we'll be waxing the floor come Monday. The floor's getting laid Friday, and it's just a matter of waxing it. So it's going to be in use for the first day the teachers are back.
And fresh paving right in front of it
Fresh
too.
paving, and I'm sure you've seen all the trucks and all of that. they're gonna pave that area Friday. Is their plan. They've been milling there all day since that was approved. So they plan on trying to stripe it Saturday. And then we have the DCI people here Sunday. So Monday or Tuesday, that'll all be striped and completely open. The sports complex parking lot will be open for use Friday.
Okay, Bob.
Finished painting it today. And then
Now they're gonna do it again. They're doing 2 coats. They're gonna do a second coat.
the back lot up by the gate, you know, not the roadway that's closest to that north entrance, but the back part of that lot is paved.
Yeah, they've been.
They milled and paved that already, so
that all day.
So
I saw them.
making a lot quickly.
bathrooms is for, by the north entrance? No, that's,
Yes.
it's inside.
No, that's something that Hank is gonna bid out. I mean, we built the room as we did it to code, so it's ready, but there's Allegheny County things that have to be done. So Hank is working on that to get that portion out, but the room is ready, that's all built, it's just a matter of them doing the plumbing portion
Oh,
of
okay.
it.
Okay,
For a
so
female bathroom, we have the male bathroom right there already.
Are you saying the females are difficult?
No, when that was built, there was a tech ed area, and there was never a female bathroom in that area.
Saying that.
In the 1950s, girls didn't do metal shop or wood shop, and that area is what it was. So the girls' bathroom is down the hall, 75 yards. So we had the opportunity as we cut through there to make it whatever we wanted. And we took advantage of building it correctly so that could work.
okay, Bob, also, at that back entrance, handicap parking, will we have,
Yes. I'm meeting them in the morning. Minimum of 3, so we're not eliminating the ones that are right there already at the corner
okay,
by the loading dock. So we're going from, I believe it's 4 now to 7.
okay. Is that, I'm just, you know,
And when people
because,
park there and they're not supposed to,
so,
Even that Xed out area where I put my rim ramp down,
they park.
people want that, I gotta wait for them to show up. So I usually try and pick up 2 spots.
And the way that's laid out, I mean, that's how we're trying to lay it out for that, not just a handicap parking space, but to have one for the ramps. So one area might just have 1 spot. Fortunately, I can't stop
Well, no, you just.
ignorant people from parking there.
Before we get this button outside this door here needs to be.
Lower. Yeah, that guy or Dennis mentioned that the other day, but lowering it so, or putting another one so we have them both. Because that one right now is a camera. So if we lower that one, we're going to take a picture of your belly button.
so,
So we were looking at, just adding a button that ties into it so we have them both.
okay, so the north entrance, which I had asked before, having a handicap button to open the door, is
They're
that,
in.
they're in.
They're in.
So it's where the wires were coming out of the wall?
Yeah, that's the one piece we're waiting
Okay.
for Miko. But yes, there are, because we have a unique situation with daytime versus nighttime. Daytime, we can't leave the door open for somebody just to hit that button. So if somebody during the day, like a teacher, for instance, we don't have any now, or Scotty would go up there, they'd have to unlock the door first and hit the button for it to open. At night, Miko can have it on a schedule that the swipe, that's where all the basketball players, everybody will enter, so that door will be open. And then you just hit the button, the motorized opener will open the door.
So where the wires were coming out, the door is there, is it gonna open on the right-hand side? Or is it,
It's both. It's a very difficult thing to try to wire, but how I had it was if you hit that button, the door on the right side would open, so you're not traveling around the door to get in there.
okay,
Very it is a weird situation, but it took us a lot to try to figure out how to get that to work for everybody as best as possible.
Okay, now, another thing was, when we have windy rain weather going up that ramp, what would it take to have that covered?
To have what covered?
The ramp, so we have
The ramp itself?
Yeah, because if you're in a wheelchair or you have a walker and it's snowing, I'm guessing that's not gonna go well. Just my guess.
I don't know what it would cost offhand, but to put a canopy over the ramp area, obviously we could do it. We could, make a match of what's there. I don't know what that cost is. I would have to look into that.
Could you look into that?
Yeah, it's not a.
Even when we were out looking at this, it didn't occur.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because you're coming from a parking lot. I mean, it's,
Right, but if you have a walker or you're in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
even though we do our best to ensure no ice.
No, that's something we can definitely look at and see if it's something you want to do.
Okay, all right, that's good.
We have a row of windows and shops there, so we just got to take all that into consideration. But I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
While you're doing it, might as well do it right. Yeah?
Does anybody have any other questions, concerns? Audience, yes.
How's the pool coming along, blocks
They haven't showed up yet. The blocks have not showed
The
up.
blocks aren't here yet.
And what was your second half?
the ceiling and
That's all done.
that's all?
You mean
The lights are all good.
That's all been done. We're totally redone.
Okay.
What about Mandel?
What about Mandel? Mandel, do you have any questions?
Thank you. Good meeting.
Good job. How are you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, no other questions? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Good meeting.